Oh my gosh. So I can't wait to talk about this. This comes, first question comes from Anne. She writes, Dear FHB crew, I'm deep into our New Hampshire house renovation that includes 2 bathrooms with cultured marble showers and tub surrounds. And I find myself second guessing and researching. And then I said, I know who to ask. So what is the
And
deal?
they weren't available, so she asked us.
Right? So she says, what is the deal with the caulking at panel joints being the entire waterproofing system in this shower system I'm looking at? It just doesn't seem right. The panels are from Syn-Mar, a local Connecticut manufacturer with a stellar reputation, and the instructions consist of gluing the panels to cement backerboard and then caulking the joints, and voila, done. The lead guy there confidently told me on the phone that no additional waterproofing is necessary. And while I would like this to be true, I can't quite believe that the exterior of a house needs several layers of redundancy while a shower does not. Also, it seems that the installation falls into a little bit of a no man's land. The tile people don't do it because the panels are sold at the plumbing supply showroom. The plumber doesn't do it because it's too much of a carpentry task with all kinds of careful fitting. The site supervisor / carpenter working on my house says he's never installed them before. Last I heard, they were going to check and see if the contractor has someone with experience doing this to help. I have a good contractor with a great reputation, but logic keeps rearing its ugly head in my mind. I know these shower panels are very popular and someone must be out there installing them, and I imagine there's a knowledge base of real world experience by now. I just don't quite know how to find it and would love some feedback from you guys. For what it's worth, the tub surround panel are going around an alcove tub with an integral flange, and the shower surround panels will be going around a Syn-Mar shower base with an integral flange. I hope you can help me get a little perspective on this. Thank you so much, Anne. Okay, so Anne has a shower surround going in made of plastic panels. She's concerned that the system relies on a sealant to work. Grant, you emailed Anne about her project, and you're familiar with these systems. Can you tell me about any important details she omitted? And then talk a little bit about how these go in so listeners know what we're talking about. And then, Ian, I'm going to ask your opinion after that.
Yeah. So, speaking to Anna, it seems mostly like the concern is, with the joints itself. It doesn't sound like, this is, for her, a design decision based on speed. It seems like it's part of a larger project. So that's probably something to note. But essentially these, and there's a lot of different, makers of these Syn-Mar. Like I've used Samuel Mueller quite a bit. Probably half a dozen to a dozen times over my career. And I think, things like this, they fit a very specific purpose. It's for people who really don't want tile.
Tell folks first what they are, please, because I wasn't familiar with these, at least as sold by the plumbing supply house.
Yeah. So they're kind of they call them cultured marble. I call them like a manufactured solid surface resin.
I call them plastic.
I think it's a little more than that, but yeah, exactly. A synthetic material. Let's say that. They are waterproof. The panels themselves are waterproof. And they will sell these in large sheet kits. So, you think like some of them are, 5 foot wide by 8 foot tall to cover the back wall of a shower. However, and they can make these in all different sizes and configurations. And they're usually made to look like either marble, stone, or a tile pattern. Kind of the way I think they kind of came off of, traditionally some high end, like really high end showers in the past have been like, slabs of marble or slabs of solid surface, like Corian or something like that. These are kind of more of a budget way to achieve that look. I think the place they really fall into is people who are just hell bent that they don't want tile for whatever reason that may be. But they don't have the budget to go get a solid surface or a marble shower manufactured. So, and the thing remember these is
need to get stuff fixed fast, right? They want a new bathroom in a day or 2 days,
Patrick.
right?
Bath in a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because like Ian and I have been chatting about that. And the thing is, like, at least from my point, like every time I've installed them, they've been part of a much larger project. And at least in my opinion, I mean, there's times actually I think they're harder to install than a tile shower. there people don't realize there's a lot that goes into putting one of these in. So just like the basic process, they're usually on some kind of receptor, whether it be a solid surface receptor or like a fiberglass Vicryl receptor, something like that. So, you have your plumbing aspect. And like for me, I've always set my receptors in mortar. I think that's the best way to do it. So they're solid. So you think that's a day for your mortar to set. Wall prep is very critical for these, just as it was tile, getting everything straight, flat. They get installed over either a cement board or a waterproof drywall, or I shouldn't say waterproof drywall, MMR drywall that's coated with paint. I think it's 2 or 3 times. You have to put 2 or 3 coats of paint on the drywall if you do it, or cement board. I've typically always done cement board. And then they get kind of like glued up with silicone to these walls. There's quite a complicated method to brace them, to hold them to the wall while the silicone cures. That takes a while. And then you have to come back and there's finishing, sealant. The real key to these is, and I was very leery at first couple I did thinking about it, is, you are relying on a sealant joint at your panel corners to create your waterproof.
Because there's traditionally no water management system behind it like there would be with tile, right? The idea is you put these right on some kind of substrate without. Go ahead, Ian.
Yeah. No, I'm good.
I
was just saying, Patrick, and then voila, it's done. You glue them to the wall.
Exactly. Yeah. So, in terms of the sealant, the key to these is really the sealant, and it has to be done well. You have to pay attention to it. You have to be skilled at doing it. The way I've always thought about it, and actually I think it was a rep. It might have been from either Sam Mueller or Onyx, was another maker of these, was discussing, if you look at an aquarium, it's 5 sides glass and it's put together with sealant and it holds water. But the key to the aquarium is the sealant. It's got to be a good sealant. It's got to be installed properly, and it works. So these, you can have success with them, but I definitely would caution anybody looking at these don't look at them as the quick solution, because they're not necessarily the quick solution. They do take a lot of skill. They're hard to move. If you've ever tried to if you're doing a shower on the second floor and try to move a 5x8 panel up a set of stairs, they're very hard to maneuver. They break pretty easily. Ask me how I know that. So it's definitely one of those things.
Grant, in round numbers, like for the materials, what do folks expect to pay for a tub surround, as an example?
Yeah, they're expensive. Tub surrounds, I mean, you can get really, really cheap ones, which I would recommend against. So any of I would say the reputable brands, the Muellers, the Syn-Mars, Onyx, you could be looking anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000 just in the surround materials. They are not cheap. Oftentimes I find is like when it all shakes out, like say you're doing a basic shower. So you're doing some kind of fiberglass receptor or a molded receptor. For me, when I would used to budget these, it was basically the same price to do it in tile as it was to do it in these panels, just because, the tile took more labor, but the material was cheaper, it was easier to do, in my opinion. These panels are very expensive, and they do take quite a bit of labor on the install, just in terms of moving the things. They're hard to fit.
Does your company put these in? Do your customers ask for this?
I've never seen one on our jobs or seen one spec'd.
You had strong opinions, though, I gotta say.
Yeah, I mean, I have strong opinions about everything. That's my role here on the podcast.
You worry about the water management behind it, right? Because
I do, and that comes from growing up in a house that had a very small shower that had one of these, and I was there when it got ripped out, and I think there was some extensive water damage behind it that had gone unnoticed because of the way the panel kind of takes up the whole side of the shower. So it's not like a tile shower, which will have other signs that you're having water management failures with tiles popping or bad grout joints, things like that. But my thing to Grant while we were emailing was, I think in a lot of ways, these panels continue to exist to service the higher end of the bathroom in a day. And at that point, like Grant pointed out, they are a little bit more labor intensive. So you're no longer at the bath in a day, but you are getting a higher end product faster. And I would add to what Grant said about them uh, costing just as much as tile. I think that evens out by the time you've had your crew install their 1,000th shower in these panels, and you can pick up some of that efficiency if you're selling that efficiency as part of your process.
You pointed out too that this is a high skill install. Like this is finished carpentry. This is more akin to folks, doing paneled wainscot or other high end interiors, as it is to, what the plumber buys at the supply house where these are sold, right?
Yeah, they're definitely not a 3-piece tub surround.
So. The one thing that I would put on that though is if you have a good system for measuring these showers as part of your sales process, I suspect that you can prefabricate a lot of that work out off site before you even bring the panels on. And I know that's how some of the quick turnaround baths are done. They'll prefab the whole thing somewhere else, and it's just an install at that point.
It seems like templating either digitally or with actual wood templates would be super useful, but you got to tear out what's there to be able to do that. So I don't know how that works. Well, if y'all have more experience with this, I'd love to hear about it. But, so to help Anne, what should she do? Sealants folks are going to say, hold up curtain walls on skyscrapers and last for decades. Is that a real worry to worry about the sealant?
So kind of, and I had responded to her, and we had chatted. So one thing I basically said to her is that I think the key with these, and it is with a lot, it's the same with tile, but before she needs to find a good installer, she needs to find somebody who knows what they're doing, because like Ian points out, they have to be done right. They're a viable solution, but they have to be done right. You have to pay attention to water management. You have to make sure you're sealant, because it's not like, a tile shower where sealing the corners is really a visual aspect. In here, like that's your waterproofing. So that would be the biggest thing. And then, if she can find a good installer, I recommend it. Maybe she reach out to the manufacturer themselves and see if they have anybody that they know is very good at installing their stuff. And then the other thing is just, make sure that the sealant is done well, it looks good, and then make sure you pay attention to it, look for cracks, splitting, things like that, because basically as soon as you see something like that, it needs to be repaired.
It seems like good fine home building content, and maybe folks will disagree with me, but for folks who'd like, as you suggest, Ian, who don't want tile because of cleaning grout, I think is the big reason people don't want tile. And they want a smooth surface that doesn't look like the molded thing you buy from the home center. You know what I'm saying? It's
big chunky plastic.
I mean, they do look nice. I think I shot a couple pictures over in the email to Anne of one I did. I mean, they do, when they're done well, they do look nice, but it's definitely something going eyes wide open. I think they get tied in with like the bath fitter, bath in a day kind of jazz. Yep. But it's really not that. Like when they're done well, it's really not that. I'd say they take equal intensity to me as a tile shower any other shower does. So just something to, it's not the wave a magic wand solution to a shower. It's an option, but it's not. If that's what you're looking for, it's
Grant,
not.
Would you say that when you're doing a large remodel project with a lot of different contractors on it, and you come in as a client wanting to use a product like this, that part of the reason Anne can't find anyone who wants to do it is because they're not willing to accept the risk of any water management problems down the road?
I'm sure that's part of it. One of the things I did in this scenario is, on the projects I did, they were basically things that I was the GC and the sub. I was doing everything on the bathroom. In the scenario where it is something that you'd be subbing, especially if you have a plumber involved, and then you have the tile guy or the wall setter involved, then you have the painter involved, and however, I think you're hitting the nail on the head, Ian. I think there's a lot of moving parts there. And if you don't have a very strong GC paying attention to those things, it's gonna, the plumber without being monitored is never gonna get the details right on the pan for the guy installing these panels. Unless you have a GC monitoring it, it's just not gonna happen.
Yeah, I think that's something that people often forget about hiring a good GC for a people and worker intense project like a bathroom is you're also hiring someone to warranty it long term and accept that risk. And it's hard to do that if you're just going to be the homeowner and hire individuals. You're going to hit a lot of kind of no man's land spots. I think Anne even referred to that in her email, or you did in one of your back and forths, whether that it falls in this gray area that nobody wants to tackle.
No, that would be
Absolutely.
a specialist trade, is how I would see that, because
and
you're
in terms of, like looking at it, in the rare event that I would have been doing a project big enough where I probably would have never subbed this out. And then that's kind of my answer, is just because I would have been so worried, to your point, about getting the details right. I would have much rather either done the tile myself, or, I had tile guys I would sub out to because I knew them and like trust their work, or brought in, and like, it takes long enough
you can watch them. Whereas this, shower panels getting stuck to the wall, like, then that's done, right? You have no idea what's back there.
Yeah, at that point, you're accepting the risk anyway as the GC. So like you said, Grant, you might as well do it yourself and minimize that.